Well, a very warm welcome to our Thursday edition of the Morning Call. Now, already some African countries harboring ties with estranged Qatar have joined the fray of other Arab League nations to cut diplomatic ties with the oil-rich state. Senegal recalled her Qatari ambassador, while Mauritania, a member of the League, accused Qatar of supporting terrorist organizations too, in a statement delivered by the country's foreign affairs. Gabon, on the other hand, issued a statement condemning the small Gulf country. Qatar's ties with her diplomatic allies, while severed political experts opined that the issue goes deeper than just what is said as supporting terror groups, including her pursuit for an independent foreign policy that separates her from the will of other Arab giant allies.
At the same time, some observers fear that these pressures will lead Qatar to question its financial aid to the Gaza Strip at the risk of totally constricting Hamas and thus precipitate a new spiral of violence. On the side of Israel, the Minister of Defense, Avigdor Lieberman, wanted to see on Monday the good sides of the crisis. The Arab states understand that the real danger to the region is not Israel, but Iran. He said in front of the Knesset, that is Israel's unicameral parliament. The discrete relations between the Hebrew state and several Sunni countries in the region, particularly in the area of security and intelligence, have intensified over the last 5 years. Although Saudi Arabia and its neighbors refuse to formalize these partnerships, as long as Israel does not accept the creation of a Palestinian state within the agreement of the 4th of June 1967. And then in concrete terms, the quarantine of Qatar has increasingly been activated. On the side of Egypt, for example, Cairo announced the suspension of airlinks with the Qatari Emirates from Tuesday onwards.
Now, to help us understand this issue, we had to go to Egypt, which is also a member of the Arab League. And we are joined by Sameh Abdallah, editor-in-chief of the Al Ahram newspaper in Cairo, Egypt. Now, good morning, Abdallah. What do you think, first of all, what do you think has contributed to your nation alignment with the decision by Arab countries to cut ties with Qatar? Were they personal motivations?
No, I don't think that there are any personal reasons at all. In fact, Qatar has been playing a certain role in the area that Egypt and other countries are not happy with. And here I have to mention Saudi Arabia, you know, the very neighbor country to Qatar, and the Arab Emirates and even Bahrain, Yemen, Libya. Qatar, for one reason or another, has been financing terrorists in so many Arab countries, in Yemen and in Libya, and even they are, so many members of the Muslim Brotherhood, a terrorist group, according to the Egyptian law right now, live in Qatar, and they behave freely, and they travel freely, and they get whatever financial resources they are looking for. And we believe that some of the terrorist attacks that are happening in Egypt are one way or another related to some kind of financial support from Qatar. So for all these reasons, and that has been going on for all these behaviors that has been going on for years, it was the decision of Egypt to cut relations with Qatar. But I have to mention too that what helped Egypt to take such a decision is this accumulation of behavior, as I said, and on the other hand, some other Arab countries, including Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Bahrain, reached this point where they felt like they have to take a real action because Qatar is spoiling the good relations between Gulf countries. So Egypt plus these countries, when they at the same time, they felt like it was the proper time to take such a decision and cut all relations with Qatar.
Abdallah, can the security situation, which is already volatile in Egypt right now, worsen because of this decision? And if Qatar decides to take action?
First of all, it's not going to be worse than it was before. the terrorists were trying to attack, several Egyptian targets, and most of the time we were able to stop them. But on the other hand, they were successful in so many cases too. So and Qatar was trying to destabilize Egypt. So I don't think that Qatar has anything else or extra to do. On the other hand, taking such actions with this number of, that includes several countries, not only one country, several Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Bahrain. These are the three neighbors, direct neighbors to Qatar. When they cut relations, and on the other hand, stop all the flights and they don't even receive any Qataris or allow any of their citizens to go to Qatar. So I mean, such a situation, this is very critical and very unusual, and will hurt Qatar one way or another on several levels. And I believe Qatar will not be able to stand such a situation for long, and at the very end they will have to give up and come back to the mainstream of the Arab countries and stop such activities. And at that point, I believe so many countries in the area, including Egypt, will feel much safer.
Now, just to have a wrap-up on this, do you think the termination of relations between Qatar and the Arab League countries can have an impact on African countries, specifically North Africans?
I don't think that there will be any impact on African countries unless Qatar will reorganize or reshape its international relations, including the relations with the African countries that has some kind of investments or even I assume they might be giving some support to some groups here or there. I'm not sure, but I won't be surprised if I would discover such a thing, because it goes with the Qatari mentality. So I don't see any big changes right now, but in case Qatar will reorganize things, that might have an impact on the relations with African countries. When it comes to North Africa, Arab countries, no, I don't see anything. Of course, they might have, this bad feelings that Arab countries are going against each other, but this is part of the game, and more or less, one day things will go back to normal, and Qatar will realize that it's a very important part of the Gulf and very important part of the Arab world, and they will be able to gain their security and stability, what they are looking for. By doing all these activities, the only way to gain the security and stability is to have good relations with neighbors and to have good relations with Egypt, and to be a real member of the Arab community, and stop playing games on behalf of the West or on behalf of Iran.
Sameh Abdallah, editor-in-chief of Al-Ahram newspaper, one of the leading newspapers in the country, talking to us about just how they are looking at that issue.